Yeah, no, that's right. That's pretty. Is that new?
Can everyone hear me okay? My wife says sometimes I talk too loud because I can't hear anything. Welcome to the wedding of Ms. Abigail Soderholm and Mr. Joe Jones. The first thing I want to do is apologize for these dingy surroundings and unimpressive views. I am Mike Laskus, and I will be officiating at today's ceremony. Thank you for that applause. For the record, I am not a minister, and I certainly am not a priest. I am, in fact, pretty much the opposite of a man of God. I am a lawyer. And this is not a Bible. Rather, it holds my bill for officiating at today's ceremony. But actually, to my great regret, state law forbids me from charging for my services today. So today is the first time, and very likely the last time, that Mr. Soderholm will receive the services of an attorney without having to pay through the teeth for them. I do need to refer to these notes today because at 70 years old I have suffered some memory loss. So far, my memory loss has thankfully been limited. I can only not remember anything that my dear wife Kathleen asked me to do, and I only can get to the Esquire Club and the golf course. I may also stumble today because so many of the folks involved in this wedding are named Joe. To avoid confusion, I will refer to the groom simply as Joe. I will refer to the groom's father as Mr. Jones. And I will refer to the bride's father as that old fart. I mean as Mr. Soderholm. Before proceeding with today's nuptials, I will summarize the results of my exhaustive review of Abby and Joe's suitability as marriage partners. This is because I will not officiate at just any old wedding. The couples I marry must be of sterling character and high morals. Or, in the alternative, they must offer me liquor and smokes.
Mike, can I interrupt you for a second?
Oh, yeah.
Here's some liquor and smokes for you.
Very smart couple. Moving on, I have determined that Abby and sisters Becca and Chelsea are each beautiful and intelligent, and also, by the way, very accomplished NCAA college swimmers. I next determined that they inherited virtually all of their beauty, intelligence, and athleticism from their mother, the lovely and charming Mrs. Stacy Soderholm. This is not to say, however, that the girls inherited nothing from their father, Mr. Soderholm. For example, they have limited golf skills. I have also found that Abby has an amazing smile. Indeed, Abby had just got her orthodontic braces off as she and Joe were first dating. Mr. Soderholm, all that money you spent on your girls' teeth is finally starting to pay off. I have also learned that Abby and Joe love the outdoors and love to hike. As befits this, Joe asked Abby to marry him on an Arizona mountaintop. Per Joe, he could not sleep the night before, was nervous as hell, and might have fallen down the mountain if Abby said no. She said yes, and so we are here today. Abby and Joe work out constantly and are in great physical condition. For those of you from out of state, Wisconsin, being the home of beer, brats, and butter burgers, being in great shape is definitely not the norm in our state. Indeed, Abby and Joe's daily workouts have been Rocky Balboa intense in recent weeks. They told me they wanted great wedding bods on their wedding day. Mission accomplished. And while Abby and Joe have healthy diets, Abby does have a weakness for cheese curds. Again, for those of you from out of state, cheese curds are a quintessential Wisconsin staple. So what is a cheese curd? Cheese curds are chunks of curdled milk that have a rubbery texture and squeak when you eat them. Wisconsinites like to dip them in butter and deep fry them to bring the total calorie count up to an acceptably high level. They are delicious. Abby and Joe are also fearless. Per Joe's dad, once when Joe and his dad went to the Sears store, young Joe disappeared and was later found running for his life on a treadmill. If Mr. Jones had not rescued him, young Joe might still be on that treadmill. And this was just last week. For her part, Abby once set too fast a pace in the Madison Marathon and fainted dead away. When revived, she could not recall who she was or where she lived. Abby could remember only one thing, her friend Jillian Bradbury's telephone number. Jillian rescued her and her memory revived. Abby and Joe are also stylish dressers. Abby sometimes frets that Joe's snappy duds may outshine hers. No need to worry about that today. I do understand, however, that Abby sometimes can be a pretty big spender when it comes to clothes, something Mr. Soderholm claims she also inherited from her mother. Mr. Soderholm told me that once his wife Stacy's credit cards were stolen and he did not report it because the thief was spending less than Stacy. Today is also important because as her many girlfriends got married and Abby stood up in wedding after wedding, she became concerned that Mr. Right would never come along. In fact, she was about to put an ad on Craigslist when Mr. Joe Jones came into her life. And that led us to today. Most important, I have determined that Abby and Joe are deeply in love and can look forward to a wonderful and rewarding life together. And so a little more seriously now, at this point, Abby and Joe will light a candle in memory of Joe's mother, Sandra Jones, now departed. I trust that Joe's mom is still watching out for her son and is very happy and proud today. And at the same time, while we remember Joe's mom, please say a prayer for Joe's dad, who could not be here today because of a serious illness. He too is most proud of his son and wishes so much that he could be with us. And now, let's get Abby and Joe married. First thing we need is an officiant who has been duly authorized by the state of Wisconsin to conduct this ceremony. One who is very handsome and well-dressed and is an excellent golfer, and who teamed with Mr. Soderholm to win the Desert Mountain Member Guest Golf Tournament in 2016, the nation's largest such tournament. So we can check that bar. We also need at least 2 competent witnesses. Hopefully there are at least 2 here today. Next thing, Abby and Joe need to answer some carefully crafted questions to mutually declare their intent to be married. So, should we move this out a little? Should we break it?
Let's just.
There we go.
That's fine.
I'll start with Abby. Abby, do you promise to sometimes let Joe win when you play golf together?
I do.
Abby, do you promise to calm Joe and not drive recklessly or swear at other drivers during rush hour traffic in Chicago?
I do.
Abby, do you promise to not call Joe your honey bunny in front of his guy friends?
I do.
Abby, do you promise to love Joe as much as your mom and dad love Gov? Gov is their Maltese pooch and has it pretty nice. Most important, Abby, do you take Joe to be your lawfully wedded husband, to have and to hold from this day forward until death do you part?
I do.
Now turning to Joe. Joe, do you promise to sometimes give Abby control of the remote?
I do.
Joe, do you promise to play golf with your guy friends at least once a week to allow Abby time to relax?
I do.
Joe, do you promise never to bring a pet monkey home without Abby's express prior permission?
I do.
Joe, do you promise to always leave the toilet seat down, something you several times failed to do in your youth to your dear departed mother's consternation, according to your dad?
I do.
And Joe, and most importantly, do you take Abby to be your lawfully wedded wife, to have and to hold from this day forward until death do you part?
I do.
And now for the exchange of rings. Rings that symbolize the love, loyalty, and commitment which the union of Abby and Joe will bring to them. Joe, please place the ring on Abby's finger. And repeat after me. Abby,
Abby,
accept this ring
accept this ring
as a symbol of
as a symbol of
my commitment
my commitment
as I pledge
as I pledge
my faithful love to you.
my faithful love to you.
Okay. Abby, please place your ring on Joe's finger.
Too much sodium. Cheese curds.
And repeat after me. Joe,
Joe,
accept this ring
accept this ring
as a symbol of
as a symbol of
my commitment
my commitment
as I pledge my faithful love to you.
as I pledge my faithful love to you.
And now for the big finish. Abby and Joe, having declared before your friends and family that you take each other in the legal bonds of marriage, and having affirmed your union by the exchange of vows and rings, by virtue of the legal authority vested in me, I most happily declare and pronounce you husband and wife. Joe, you may kiss the bride. I am now honored to present to you Mr. and Mrs. Joe Jones. That's all, folks.
You did.